Hey guys, Bellido here from GoatFormat.com. Continuing my series on analyzing my gameplays and explaining my reads, and I found this one to be particularly very good. I had to break it up into 3 games because this was actually like a 2-hour match, and game 2 in particular took I think over an hour. So yeah, let's jump into it. So quick backstory: this is against Sdlkilla in Canada versus, well, we call it Team Canada versus Rampage team battle. And Sdlkilla just went on like this insane run, one of the best runs I've ever seen in a while. And he took out 4 guys, I think, with his 41 card upstart warrior deck. And if you don't know Sdlkilla, one of the stronger players out there right now. Known for playing aggro, so I already knew what I was coming into this matchup with. So again, I'm on chaos control. Obviously me down here, I'm just gonna hide his hand. So yeah, chaos control deck, similar to the last video you saw. So open very, like I open a good hand, very strong, like standard hand against almost anything else, almost any deck, but just aggro, it's kind of rough because there's no defense. So obvious play, pitch Thunder Dragon, set Dekoichi, pass. So I in my, like most of the time, turn 1 flip monster isn't going through. They have Blade Knights, level 2, Nox, Rhoda to get to whatever they need. So I don't assume it's gonna go through. Pots. Warrior Lady. Okay, so this is great. I still think I'm gonna get knocked. So he sets, so one of the things to notice is that he sets a card before he attacks. So I guess he finds that very important. So I draw Mimic, which is okay. Now I have Light and Dark Engrave with BLS, which is solid. And then he sets a second one. So why was the first one he set way more important, or he wanted to set it first? So it's obviously like 100% he wants to get it down. So it's probably a dust shoot. So a lot of it is just picking up the patterns on how he's playing. So my turn, draw Reaper, which I put in my main deck in particular for this matchup. So dust shoot, obviously. I have a pretty decent hand. I have a good hand, actually. I have a strong hand. But he's getting rid of the BLS. So I have 2 lines of play here, right? I can go Mimic TR, steal the Warrior Lady, being able to attack for 15. Or obviously snatch the Warrior Lady, Tsukiyomi up, down, and attack. The reason I choose to go snatch first is because it only gets blown up by 1 card, right? So if I go snatch, well, it gets blown up by 2 cards, but I don't expect him to be setting a torrential on with the Warrior Lady. So the snatch will only really get blown up by an MST, where if it's on my field. So if I go snatch, Warrior Lady, if he has MST, he's going to let it come to my field, forcing me to summon Tsukiyomi. Or if I try to get greedy and summon Reaper, which I won't, he'll go on the Tsukiyomi summon, MST the snatch, and I'm basically just left with booking his Warrior Lady and losing my snatch. So I go snatch first to see what I'm up against. And most likely, like the reason why I want to make the Metamorphosis Mimic play my secondary play, it's because it's the play I want to go through more than this play. Because Thousand Eyes Restrict on the board is very difficult for Warriors to get rid of right now, especially since they cut down the number of Book of Moons they're playing. And if I can bait a book here, which I do bait a book here, makes it much better to have a TR on board. Especially like I do want to slow down the game. I don't have the greatest hand, right? But I do have Tsukiyomi plays with the TR, so I want to see how much mileage I can get out of that. So take the Warrior Lady. His turn. So he had duo in the beginning. So he opened pot, duo, dust shoot. And I guess he just didn't want to duo just in case. Like he's duoing now, even though he knows I have Thunder Dragons, just he was worried of Sinister. So he goes duo. I mean, best case scenario is he hits a 50-50 a Thunder Dragon. I ditch a Thunder Dragon. So he hits a Thunder Dragon, which is good for me, like, I guess. So again, interesting. He's seen my hand, and he still decides to summon a Kaiku, knowing I have Tsukiyomi, right? So I rip duo, which is insane. Easily the best card I could draw at this point. So I duo first, just to see, just to kind of break down his back row play, right? To try and read more into it, why he's trying to bait me. So BLS and Storm, easily his two strongest cards in deck at the moment, or in general, with Kaiku and Warrior Lady here. So he had Light Dark ready to go. So he knows that I have Tsukiyomi, because he does shoot me, but he still decides to summon Kaiku instead of back row. So the primary play obviously is to try and Tsuki and take the Kaiku, but he's trying to bait me into something. If it's a Torrential, he's not summoning the Kaiku. If it's a Battle Trap, he's not summoning the Kaiku because he wants me to maybe get greedy and attack with the Tsukiyomi. So it's either one of two things, right? It's either Ring or another book. The reason why I don't think it's book is I think he wouldn't book attack the TR last turn because he won't be able to get past the Tsukiyomi, but that would give him light and dark. So the reason why I make the secondary play again, so a lot of the times you're catching me make the secondary, which is, like, in my opinion, the first play, but it's when you're against better players, they try to bait you into stuff. So I make the secondary play of setting Reaper here only because I need to stay ahead on the board with monsters. Then when I decide to make the Tsukiyomi play, if it gets blown up by something, I still have an extra monster to block, and Kaiku won't be able to hit my two darks in grave. This would be the third, but again, Kaiku is his effect of banishing is insane in this matchup. So I decide to just set Reaper. He draws, sets another back row. So I draw Saku, which is obviously amazing in this matchup. And now I can make this play, right? If I go, that new card could be Torrential, but I kind of have to play here now. And Warriors are going to set regardless. Like, even if he drew a Dust Shoot, he's probably going to set it, where he should keep it in hand for, obviously, a Graceful. But now, when I make the Tsukiyomi play, if I get blown up, so my read was, so I was right on that read, it being Ring or Book. So it being Ring means if I made this play last turn, without, I didn't have the Saku, he'd definitely be able just to get through life points, putting me down a bit and removing both darks or both lights, whichever. So at least this with Reaper, I still have one more piece. So his turn, he draws Knock, obviously draws Knock. Which sucks, knocks the Reaper. But again, that just saves me 2 turns of not getting hit by Kaiku. Where last turn, if I didn't set the Reaper and made the Suki play, I wouldn't have had an open board. And then next turn, I'd set the Reaper. He would draw this Knock still, and still hit me for 18. So the reason I decide to take it here instead of Saku is obviously I have Tsukiyomi, and I'm pretty loaded with lights and darks. So he should actually be banishing the Thunder Dragons, but I think he opts for the darks, which not terrible. So my turn, draw Sorcerer, which is crazy good. I mean, it's only fair he got to draw knock, so again, if I go, this plays back to all the plays that I was looking to make. So again, if I instead of decided to set Reaper and summon the Tsukiyomi, where I didn't, this is still going that same line of play. If I went Thousand Eyes, on the Thousand Eyes play, I made the Tsukiyomi, tried to Suki lock him, and it got blown up, and he hit me with the Kaiku, and he drew another back row the next turn, and I tried to Tsukiyomi and attack, it would actually meet a Mirror Force. So if I lost the Tsukiyomi instead of the Reaper, I would not be able to get past this Kaiku. So the importance of Tsukiyomi in this matchup is, one, it runs over a lot of the monsters, and two, it actually plays on shutting down Kaiku. So obviously main phase 2 Kaiku, because like if he draws a breaker, that suck, draw MST, and then I wouldn't be able to play it. So again, his outs to this Kaiku is Snatch, Exiled, and obviously his own Chaos Monster he'll have to run his Kaiku in, and reinforcements. So he's down to like a limited amount of outs. He has a lot of non-playable cards in this matchup, or in this position. So my turn, I draw Scapegoat. So he draws sets, I draw Scapegoat, attack with Sorcerer. So Scapegoat's amazing. It is very strong in this matchup. His turn, he gets the Exiled in 2 turns. So I mean, eventually he was going to get an answer. Better Exiled than another Chaos Monster, or than his 1 Chaos Sorcerer. I think 1 or 2 Chaos Sorcerers or a Snatch Steal. So my turn, draw Charity, pass. There's no point in really charitying here. Maybe hope to get a Sinister, but I don't really need to push anything. I have very reactive cards in Saku and Scapegoat. So his turn, draw, and he passes with. So it's very odd to see them keep a card in hand and not make a play, especially with this aggro type of deck. So I mean, one of the things they won't do is they won't summon a Chaos Monster into an open field just to attack into 2 face downs. So that's a read to make on that. So I draw Faith and Graceful here. So obviously I just set Faith only because I could blow up a Blade Knight or a level 2 play, and I could maybe double Graceful next turn. But worst case scenario, let's say this gets triggered, and by like anything gets triggered, and by like a breaker, for example, a breaker that connects, I still get back Snatch, which is solid in this matchup. So Snatch is like one of the cards that Graceful looks to dig for. So might as well just get that back if that happens. So his turn, he draws End Phase MST, or Draw Phase MST, hits the Scapegoat. So I choose not to play the Scapegoat here, only because 1, I'm goat locked. I would goat lock myself. 2, I have less cards in deck. So if he just decides to draw pass, it's only a Faith here. And 3, I've actually used my Thunder Dragons to break my goat lock. So if he just keeps setting monsters, I literally cannot get through his board. So yeah, it's what, like if he goes like anything really, like I just cannot Scapegoat. If I Scapegoat, I probably lose this game because he's smart enough just to goat lock me through the remaining. And it's something that I see very often. A lot of people just goat for no reason or goat for life points. You can't goat in this scenario. So he goes Breaker, hits the right set of cards. So like if he went the other way, like if he MST'd the Saku and hit my Scapegoat, I would chain Scapegoat because I would run a goat token into the Breaker next turn. Where if he hit the Scapegoat first, he might not even do anything. So let's look at the order of playing his cards. So again, that card is still in his hand. So decides to set it. So obviously get back Snatch in this scenario. Best card there. I mean, I could get back Goats, but I only have one. I believe I only have 1 meta. No, but I still think Snatch is stronger. So draw Mirror Force. Now I'm kind of force the graceful here. Breaker. Best time to graceful because I draw one of my dead cards in knock. Pitch knock goats because mirror force is much stronger. So the reason I choose to attack with breaker here is there. I can't remember if that was a card that he didn't set. I'll look back at it after. If that he drew and passed, unless that was the breaker, and kept it in hand. So I'm attacking only because maybe it could be a dead card. Could be. It's obviously not a knock. He would have knocked. Could be a dust shoot. Could be something. But I think I just try to get the +1 here because having a 19 breaker up would still be big. And if the attack goes through, I wouldn't even pop it because the read on it is dead. So it's a book, which is okay. Set force. So attack, I take it. No point in mirror forcing this. I'll get much more mileage out of that mirror force. So all standard stuff. Draw Tsukiyomi, which is kind of the reason why I like playing double. There's a lot of cool Tsukiyomi plays you can do, like from my last video, and just inherently in this matchup, it just runs over a lot of stuff. So Suki attack. So again, he draws, doesn't set or play. So obviously it could be, maybe the read on it could be a chaos monster to answer, or another monster that he didn't want to summon. Just he didn't want to walk into a torrential or a mirror force. So he draws, sets right away, and passes. So I draw. So I set the book only because I know Storm is gone. So right now there's no real read on what that back row could be. It could be and it could be really anything at this point. So he draws, summons Blade Knight right away. Attack, I take it. No point in mirror forcing this. I have to save the mirror force for something else because he doesn't know what the mirror force is, but he does know the snatch. So he's not gonna give me a good time to snatch. It's like I'm gonna have to. The time I can probably snatch a chaos monster is when he has protection, like a book or a solemn, or it's too late and he's attacking for game with it. Like he's a very good player. He's not gonna put me in a position. I'm gonna have to burn the snatch soon. So I draw, meta, dead right now. So I take my time, gotta think about the play I wanna make. Obviously, I said it already. I choose to snatch here because I'm thinking, I'm running in my mind, he's not gonna give me a position to snatch at all in the future. So this is probably gonna be the best chance. And it's time to play through the back rows, trying to see what they have. So I snatch, Tsukiyomi, up, down. So he gave it right away on snatch, so that's kind of an indicator of what that might be. I can make the safe play here and just attack with the Tsukiyomi. And, well, Mirror Force is already gone. So he would have torrential this anyways. So I attack with both, even if it eats a Saku. That's okay. But part of the read here is that he gave it away pretty quickly. No hesitation. So get the Tsukiyomi back in hand. His turn. I already have the read on Sorcerer, so I banish it right away. The read on Sorcerers, he's not going to give me the opportune time to play the Snatch. So I'm already assuming that that card that was drawn past a few turns ago is a Sorcerer. You could see me banish it. I also banish it because I just force him. I tell him, I know you have it in hand, just play it. Right? So yeah, which he does. And then he sets another back row. So I think regardless of what he drew that turn, he would be setting that card. So my turn, draw Sangan, which is actually really, really, really good at this point. Because, let's see what's gone. One knock is gone, and the Warrior Lady is gone. So, and then I would have the TR play with the Sinister. So I make a little bit of a mistake here. This is a small mistake, but it's kind of on. So I have a read on his back row now. the first set, only because the way he was playing earlier is on turn 1 he goes DD Warrior Lady before he attacks. Like his auto set was a back row, and that ended up being Dust Shoot. And I think inherently they just automatically set Dust Shoot even when they see it. And I could eventually get to that point. So I set here, and I'm thinking, oh, I probably should have set the morph so I don't get blown up by a Dust Shoot. But anyways, he goes upstart. Give me some life back. So he attacks here. And if I have a read on that's a Dust Shoot, he's gonna make my Dust Shoot live, Dust Shoot and Solemn, which is, well, I'm not calling it. You don't see me call it Solemn now, but he attacks and I force. And if you notice in the chat, he says think, and I say 1950 half, just to call out a Solemn. But if he had Solemn and Dust Shoot, the correct play, in my opinion, for most flips in this deck is to Solemn, because if it's 1 Tsukiyomi, you get through it. 2, if it's any of the flips, I'm automatically going to go to 4 cards, or if it's a Sangan, I'm going to 4 cards, and that would make the Dust Shoot live. But anyways, the Mirror Force goes through. I draw MST. So disconnects. So now, like, I want to make sure I don't put myself in a scenario to get Dust Shooted at all. I'm fast forwarding here. I'm hitting next play, but you're not. In that time during the matchup, he actually takes a lot of time to think with letting the sorcerer go to the grave. So I kind of know he has an answer. And I don't think it's the first set because he willingly gave up that Blade Knight really quickly. So attack with Sangan. Some Tsukiyomi, put it down just so I don't get hit by Dawn. If I get Torrential, I get Torrential. It's just one of those things. And I would search Sinister at that point. So Tsukiyomi comes back. His turn. He's thinking. So the deck normally doesn't set anything. Obviously, we can see by that stats that's a skilled Dark Magician. But obviously, I don't know at the time. So I draw for my turn. I rip BLS, which is amazing. So this BLS needs to come down, and I have to navigate through the back rows of where the Solemn is. So I already know where the card I'm gonna pick. And once I MST, I actually type Solemn right away. And I say wait because my clicker stops working, and I don't want him to think like the furthest card is where I want number 2 for him to automatically assume. So I just say in front of MST, which is a card he set during the summon of Sorcerer, closest to main deck, which it is the Solemn. Summon BLS. If I get Torrential here, I get Torrential. He might not Torrential because he might know that I'm gonna summon the Tsukiyomi anyways. But banish. Banish Skill Dark. Summon Tsukiyomi. So we obviously put the BLS down here. Because his only one out to the BLS there is a knock versus his multiple outs of another Chaos Monster and a Snatch Steal, which I could blow up the Snatch Steal, but I'd rather not really have to worry about it. So I could try to go for game here by morphing the BLS, but it's just if it gets eaten up by Saku, I would just lose my answer to anything next turn. Right, so next play, attack with both. At this point, if he dawns, I'm good. Like it's done. It's nothing at this anymore. I have a BLS on board. So again, make the safe play. Don't Gatling for no reason. So lose a Tsukiyomi on his turn. He draws, and he concedes at this point. So he draws a Kaiku, But let's see, on the whole time, the read this being dust shoot was right of it being dust shoot. So just playing around it made it dead the whole time. He actually had one opportunity to let it be live, and yeah, just was managed to have the right read at an earlier time. So one of the big things is you had the right read on the dust shoot, you had the right read on the solemn, and yeah, that's just kind of how I navigate. That's my thought process during the Warrior matchup. Game 2 is actually an insane game, and it's an hour long. I hope to get it up soon, and I'll probably break up Game 3 as well too. A lot of people have got back to me, said they enjoy this content. I'm gonna try and put it out at least maybe once every 2 weeks. It also required me to play a lot more games, which I should be doing. This game actually happens at midnight for us, which is tough for me because I work early every day. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed, and yeah, stay tuned.